Good morning. Welcome to Writing for Conversion and SEO. I'm Sarah Griesenbach, founder of the B2B Writing Institute. And I've had a long and complicated relationship with SEO my whole writing life. And maybe you can identify with that. Maybe that's why you're here. But one of the main differences between marketing writing and literary writing is that we're writing to inspire action, or we're building a case for action, not just to feel surprising things or explore the world in a new way. Now, this is changing. One of the biggest trends in B2B marketing is borrowing elements of storytelling to write better content. But at its core, SEO is how we make good writing findable, and conversion is how we make good writing deliver results. So your responsibility as a writer is to make room for that reality, kind of like how the first caveman had to get used to writing with a pen instead of just telling a story. SEO is how our work interacts with the marketing ecosystem. It's a restriction and an opportunity. It's wrapped all in one. And so without further ado, we're going to learn our brains out first with Andy Crestodina from Orbit Media. So as you listen, please feel free to ask questions that come up in the chat. I'll be watching over that, collecting questions for the end of each speaker's session. And we should have maybe 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A at the end of each one. And of course, you'll have access to the replay of the event within a day or so. So Andy, I'll turn it over to you to share your screen if you want and hear what you have to say.
Very good. Thank you, Sarah. I'm excited to be here, and I really love generally just how you've programmed this and the idea of doing something that combines and touches on both search and conversion. I am very passionate about both and love to talk about both. Probably will spend a little bit more time on search, but ask me anything. My job is to help you today. So I'm going to start with the big picture. If you could distill all of marketing metrics down into 2 numbers, I would say that one of the numbers would have to be total number of visitors to a website or qualified visitors. That's the top line, top of the funnel, how many people go in. That's search optimization has a big impact on that. The second effort that we make is the percentage of people who take action on that website, and conversion optimization affects that. You could think of these things as mousetrap and cheese. Any digital marketing program that is failing is likely failing for one of these 2 reasons, either not enough cheese or not a good mousetrap. So oversimplification, search optimization, total traffic, times the conversion rate, the percentage of people who act, equals demand. Leads, subscribers, donors, customers. So SEO and CRO are the 2 big factors. SEO copywriting, there are a lot of little things that go into it. You really have to use both halves of your brain the entire time. After you get an idea, we should ask ourselves first, is that relevant at all to search? And there are many things that we may find, good results from creating, even though no one is actually looking for it. Not every topic is an SEO opportunity. And if it's not an SEO opportunity and you still think it should be created, you feel strongly about that topic, go make it. It doesn't have to rank, not everything. Only like maybe half of my articles are even relevant in search, even keyword focused. Some of the favorite things I've ever made had nothing to do with SEO. So if there is an SEO opportunity, people are actually looking for that, then you have to ask next, do you have a chance of ranking for it? Do you have sufficient authority? If not, maybe write it anyway, as I said, or if it is something that people search for and you have a chance of ranking for it, maybe go make the best page on the internet for the topic. That's my ultimate advice, spoiler alert. So I'm going to skip the competitive analysis, domain authority, difficulty, do you have a chance of ranking, and just jump right into the other half of SEO, which is relevance. The keywords, content. So ultimately, you've maybe heard this before, there are fundamentally 3 kinds of key phrases that we all search for every day. At times we're looking for answers and information, and that's something like 80% of all searches. They call that a no key phrase. Can a microscope see cells? How to replace a microscope light bulb? This visitor who searches for these things and maybe lands on a site has no intent to buy, and that's fine. We target them with content marketing. They are problem aware, but maybe not yet even solution aware. Also, we might target transactional queries. These are people who know what they want. They're searching the query indicates that they have commercial intent. USB microscope, science kits for kids, replacement bulbs. And then, of course, irrelevant to search basically is like the person who just wants to get to a website, the branded query. That's the remaining 10%. No, do, and go. Informational, transactional, navigational. Question mark key phrases, $ key phrases, and just the brand names. So if you're hoping that I'm going to tell you a very effective but sneaky place to work in a key phrase, I'm sorry to disappoint you. The most important places to indicate relevance for a phrase are in the page, in the visible places on the page, the title, the header, the body text. That's basically it. Meta description, probably not a search ranking factor. Definitely a click-through a factor in click-through rates from search because it contributes to the snippet, as you'll see in a second. But really, I have conversations like this all the time. Someone has a giant menu on their website. They want to put a keyword underneath the name of the page in the navigation. That does not indicate the relevance of a URL. That's just an element inside a big navigation menu. The page, every page is the battle, right? It doesn't matter. It's not about the URL, the web address, not likely a search ranking factor, alt tags, file names. Hey, we do puppy training. Should every image on this blog post say puppytraining.jpg, dogtraining.jpg? Like, if you like, but don't expect that. It would be weird. Google would be a weird search engine if that mattered. The internet would be bad if that mattered. Just imagine for a second, if you were like a data scientist at Google or a library, if you were an expert at library science or information retrieval, would you care about that? Not nearly as much as you'd care about these things. It's the page. That's what matters, the elements of the page. So fundamentally and very briefly, use the phrase in the title. Ideally at the beginning of the title. The title is not on the page. It's in the code. The title is in the tab when you land on a page. And the title is frequently the link in the snippet if it ranks. With that in mind, it's an opportunity to indicate relevance. With authority in mind, the homepage is inevitably the page on the website with the greatest ranking potential. So the homepage is a great place to indicate relevance in the title tag. The homepage title tag is probably the single most important piece of SEO real estate on any website. With that in mind, what is the worst homepage title tag? It is home. I saw a site like this today. There's millions of examples. A unicorn cries every time someone makes home their homepage title tag. You can also use the phrase in the header. The header is the text at the top of the page. It's the H1. Looks like a headline. And probably we should use the target key phrase in the beginning of the header. You can also use a number or the benefit. Here's my template, steal this, my template for writing key phrase focused and high click-through rate headers. They're kind of long, actually. You can go longer than the title. The title gets truncated after like 55 or 60 characters. H1 tags do not. So you can do anything you want with that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same. Never should anyone recommend actually, just blindly using the same headline, so-called headline, in the title tag, in the header, in the email subject line, in the, the other places where so-called headlines can appear. Body text, use the key phrase exactly 2 to 4 times every 500 words. That's a joke. There is no rule for this. Make a great page, that's the job. But of course, the page should indicate relevance by using the target key phrase, which gets us to the point of why vague copywriting is bad for SEO, also just bad for marketing. Sarah, you might like this. Steal this slide if anyone wants to use these. I'll share the deck. Blank is a solutions provider solving its clients' problems that in turn create real market value to its markets. What? I don't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means. That's bad for search. That's bad for visitors. That's just bad for clarity. That's bad for conversion. Anyway. And also we should use the target key phrase in the meta description, which is also in the code, not on the page itself, but contributes to the snippet. By the way, those are all called snippets, search snippets in Google search results pages. And they are almost always the title tag, the URL, and the meta description. We just covered basic SEO. Let's go to something a bit more advanced. Semantic SEO, where we try to indicate relevance more broadly by not just targeting a key phrase, but targeting the topic. Famous quote from the former head of Google search team, working on they have an intelligent model that understands entities, real world entities, and their relationships to one another. It's now about things and not strings, as in topics and not just queries. It's about the topic that you created and the intent of that visitor. It's not about a combination of words and letters. With that in mind, you can make a better article by finding all the related subtopics, all the semantically related phrases. If I'm writing an article about web design tips, beginners to tricks, layout, small business, I can scrape all of those out of Google all at once using a tool called keywordtool.io. It's a free tool. It'll scrape suggestions. I think it's called like autocomplete out of Google's, Bing, YouTube, Amazon, app stores. These are all phrases I could incorporate into my topic, into my article, targeting the broader topic, not just the specific phrase. These are all things I could touch on and make it a better article. Ultimately, quality is the point here, right? We're not trying to trick a robot. We're trying to make something that's really good. I think of it this way. Google famously has 2,000 math PhDs on staff. If you make a crappy article and try to get it to rank, there are 2,000 math PhDs trying to stop you. If you make a great article and try to get it to rank, there are 2,000 math PhDs trying to help you. Align your goals with Google's. Make quality, because that's what Google's trying to do in the end, right? It is an information retrieval technology. You need a quality piece of information. Anyway, there's other places to find semantically related terms. There's other ideas. People also ask boxes is a good one. Expand, collapse, expand, collapse. You'll see piles of questions. Use these in your content. Go deeper, more detail, more depth. Make it thorough. Make it exhaustive on the topic. Also a fun trick. If you look at who's ever ranking number one and you put that into a rank checking tool like SEMrush, competitive analysis tool, you can see all the phrases that that page ranks for. These are also likely semantically linked phrases. Google, somewhere inside of Google, there's like an ontological library that shows the relationship between all these terms. And if your thing is about X and things that are about X are closely related to Y, then both X and Y should be in the thing. Describing this in all different ways. Ultimately, all I'm saying is you've got a list of phrases. As you write, use those phrases. You see that high-tech approach? You can do it with pencil, paper. Just find the words and bring them in. In the end, you got a piece that's probably better than you would have made. SEO can make you a better writer. I'm going to say that again. SEO can make you a better writer. It's not about keyword stuffing. It's about making the best piece of content on the internet, and a little bit of research, as any writer would agree, can help you make a better piece of content. That's that simple. This is my article about web design tips. 4,300 words, 4 sections, subsections, 30 charts and diagrams, contributor quotes, very powerful. There's EAT and other things we could talk about. Basically, never write an article without contributor quotes. A journalist would never write an article without a source. Why do content marketers keep writing articles without contributor quotes? Makes it better content. You build relationships. They might share. You get better social reach. Anyway, today that article ranks number 1 for web design tips. 500 visitors a week, pretty effective, and it improves the authority of my site, helping me rank for all those commercial intent $sign key phrases because it has attracted the links. So we can talk more about that. Cameron's on this call. There's a lot of we're going to go deeper into all these things here in a bit. Anyway, so these things, sometimes some of them have hundreds of thousands of views over time. Why? Because they don't just, this is a different article. It doesn't just rank for the target key phrase. Use semantic SEO and you'll target all the related phrases. Check Search Console for any article that ranks for anything, and you'll see it likely ranks for dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of other closely related key phrases. That is a number that proves the effectiveness of semantic SEO. I found a tool recently that I'm using to get better results from this. I'm using Market Muse. Market Muse is going to go look at all the other pages that rank and then show me the phrases that they use and make it easy for me to incorporate these into the piece of content I'm creating. So you can also, SEMrush has a tool like this. It's their on-page, it's the SEO writing assistant with the Google Doc plugin. So this is a paid version of what I just did by hand. I'm always going to show you the free version first, but a paid version. You basically put in the article URL if you've already written it, copy and paste it if you haven't published it yet, and then put in the target key phrase. And it will go ahead and show you how many times you used those phrases. That's called keyword frequency, key phrase frequency. And based on the competitors, how many times they used those phrases. And if you missed any. And as you continue to go deeper into your topic and incorporate more phrases, it's actually going to give you a content score. So these are the related phrases, and this is the frequency for your piece of content and theirs. That's what this is. Market Muse. I think it's like $150 a month or something. You get a bunch of different, I don't know how many queries they give you with that. It also counts, so it kind of gamifies it, and it applies a word count. I am using this tool a lot now. Let me tab out and see if I can find a market. I'll show you. The last one I did was just this morning. All my examples are from today, and it's not even noon where I am. So this is an article I'm writing about content strategy basics. It's an update to an older article. It's not that page. And this is the frequency of the terms that I used. This is the frequency of the other competitors. Here's my content score. There's the recommended content score. Here's the content score of all the competitors. So a pretty handy way to do semantic SEO, optional. Ultimately, the job is quality. And if you're not doing this, if I could give this presentation in one slide, it would be this basically, right? If you're not doing this, you're really not doing SEO. I don't mean this in a, I was on someone interviewed me on a podcast once and like, yeah, that's kind of a cute way to put it, but really, what are we talking about here? I'm like, no, this is exactly what I mean. I don't know a better way to say it. That's our job, is to make the best page on the internet for the topic. If you didn't make one of the top 10 pages on the internet for the topic, then why would you expect, you have no right to rank. Why would you think? And I know that's like a subjective thing, but still, if Google was the judge and my audience was the jury, I could stand there and make closing arguments and tell them why this is a better page than the other ones. It's more visual, it's more concise, it's more descriptive, it's more collaborative, it's got more contributor quotes, it's got more expert insights, it's got better support with research, it's got data, it's got visuals, it's got video, it's more scan, it's more the formatting, it's more interconnected with other content, right? And it's cited by other pages, right? Because it's a better page. So anyway, I'm really getting kind of worked up talking about quality, but that is the point, right? I don't know why, I don't know a better way to say it. Next, I'm going to take just a minute and do very briefly my best tips for conversion optimization, which are classically for the other type of page. As I mentioned, these people, blue guys over here, search for question mark key phrases. The red guys are searching for $ key phrases. There are 8 times as many, as we mentioned, question mark queries as $ queries, people who just want answers versus people who've got their wallet out. And so we have 2 kinds of pages on our site. These are the pages designed to sell. These visitors sort of enter the funnel farther down. This is the mini version of Wikipedia for your website that is informing people. These target the informational queries. Conversion for these blog posts is mostly just subscribers, which is another topic. Conversion over here, we're trying to get people to take action, right? And the key to that is to know the audience. Dave he's a systems engineer. He's been hacked. He doesn't want a cloud-based thing right now. He's looking for something to install on premises. How do we get Dave to take action? We have to know what he cares about, because the more answers we provide, the more we reduce Dave's uncertainty, and the more that little dude is likely to get over there to the goal. That is conversion optimization. Make the first arrow bigger and stronger. It's like vector geometry from high school. So we want to get them over there. So the key is to know the frame of reference, the information needs, the hopes and fears and concerns for this visitor. So we can do that through qualitative research just by talking to a bunch of Daves and asking questions like these. I'm going to give you a bunch of questions. Take me back to that moment when you first realized you needed help. What else did you try? What didn't you love about it? You bought from us. What almost kept you from doing that? In other words, what made our solution, our approach, the best option for you? And can you give me an example or tell me a story about how this has really helped you? What was that problem you were trying to solve? What if we disappeared, you couldn't work with us again? What would you miss the most? What would you tell someone else, a friend, if you wanted them to hire us? Now I know Dave's thoughts. I know how to create a page. I could not make a page if I did not do this first. I literally would not even try to make a web page, a sales page, a service page, a page about a product or a service, if I didn't do this first. Another amazing source of insights is to talk to your top reps and ask questions like this. What are you just sick and tired of telling people? They keep asking you, maybe we haven't published it yet. Let's answer those top questions. What should people ask you, but they don't? Let's answer some unasked questions. The infrequently asked questions are powerful content. What was the aha moment that people have when you describe what we do? Do you use any analogies to tell people what we do? Hey, we're doing marketing here. What big number can we get up to show that we are legit? Let's address objections. Fill in this blank. People can work with us even if they blank. I know I'm going kind of quickly here. You're getting these slides and we're recording this. So steal this. When COVID hit, I started making YouTube videos because I didn't have to travel so much anymore for conferences. And this is the video I made about this is like how to maximize your website's conversion rate. Fewer views than anything I've ever made for YouTube. But I honestly believe this is the most impactful thing I've published. Like, this is the trick, guys. This is how to make money with a website. I'm going to combine those answers with Joanna Weeb's triggers, psychological triggers. They leverage cognitive bias. Words like because. Hey, Dave, we offer on-site installs because not everyone wants their data in the cloud. Should. Exclusive empowerment. Dave, you should have access to your data from anywhere, anytime. Already plus still. You've already upgraded your network, but you're still having performance issues. The fact is, everyone wants to feel like we're logical decision makers. In fact, we are not. We're mostly emotional decision makers who then rationalize our decisions with the prefrontal cortex. The truth is, cloud-based applications still crash, no matter what they promise. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. And then even if, you still have 100% access, even if your services are on site. So now here's the magic. Ready? Marketing asks the question to the client. The client provides an answer. We care about security, then scalability. Those words become the web this is conversion copywriting. Actually, the copywriting is sort of done by the audience. That's the secret. Give me an example of when this helped. Oh, you guys really saved my bacon testimonial quote. What was the biggest challenge you're hoping to solve? I wanted insights, not just dashboards. Aha, you already have dashboards, but you're still not getting insights. I've read their minds, right? This page is going to emulate a sales conversation. What can you do now you couldn't do before? Oh, now I don't have to run that report every single time. Stop running the same reports again and again. This page is going to crank people. This page is going to sell. What analogies do we do? It's like owning your own home. It's like your house. You should own your own home. Everyone can identify with that, right? Metaphors are powerful. What's the biggest number we can get up to? Well, we have 200 clients, but if you add up all the users at all those clients, it's like 10,000 plus, maybe 14,000. Trusted by 14,000 professionals. Hey, sales team, what questions are you just tired of answering? What if I want to cancel my contract? Holy crap, we never published that? We need to address that objection. Cancel anytime. I'm putting that one right next to the call to action. What should they ask, but they don't? People never ask us about testing and documentation. We're a software company. We kick ass at that. Nobody asks. The fact is 80% of software installs are never fully tested. So in the end, Sarah, we're wrapping up. I got time for a question or two. In the end, we construct, it is copywriting, but it's almost more like assembly. It's the constructing something that includes all the psychological triggers that address all of their objections, that answer all of their questions, that supply evidence to support all of our assertions. And it's still search optimized, right? Short descriptive headline with keyword focus, title, header, body text. We just talked about that. Quick visual credibility, right? Let's keep them on the page, get them scrolling down, show those logos or as seen in, press hits, whatever. Meaningful subheaders, not what we do. Please never make a subheader that says what we do. You want a web design pro tip? Just stand back, close one eye, and cover that thing with your thumb and ask, would this still be as good a page without that element? Yes. If the subheaders are meaningless, I see them all the time, a subheader that says like testimonials. Why not just put the quote of the best testimonial in that subhead? Ridiculous. Getting worked up here. Short paragraphs are scannable. Never write a long blocky paragraph. Strong supportive visuals. Please avoid stock. Faces of your team. You are different. You are the only people with your team. Put your people on there. Be human. Weirdly, big companies are always trying to look small and small companies are always trying to look big. Isn't that crazy? Everyone should just try to look more human, more personal, more approachable, more legit, more real, more... and then data statistics, clean, simple flow, depth and detail, probably 1,000 plus words usually. And then a clear, compelling call to action. That little diagram is not easy to read, so I've got it pulled it out into a little service page checklist. 13 points. Take a screenshot, look at your service page and figure out, if you missed any of these things. It's one of those, search and conversion both. These are categories where it's a combination of dozens of little things. It's not one thing, right? Missing one thing can hurt you a lot, but we have to include all these different things to kind of build up in the mind of the visitor that we are experienced, we're credible, we're legit, we're trustworthy, we're human. We've got you covered, right? With all of your questions are answered here. Because people don't want to call a salesperson and ask that next question. They want to see it in the marketing funnel. Part of the paradigm shift is that we have to move all of our answers and sales messaging from the sales funnel up into the marketing funnel. I wrote a book about this once. I'm going to stop sharing, and Sarah, maybe we've got a question or two.
Yeah, that was perfect. I might have too many. So if anybody has some come up, feel free to put that in the chat. But SEO making your writing better, I'm going to be honest, and that never occurred to me. And it seems like SEO is often seen as this threat, like the robots are coming for us, and it's chains that are put on us while we're trying to write. Why do you think we see it as the enemy? Or maybe what's that misconception that can help us see it as just another tool to be better writers?
I think there was an era when, for example, journalists had an editor walk in the newsroom and say, keywords everywhere, put your keywords in everything. Everything's got to be search optimized. And the journalists were like, this is horrible. I'm writing for an audience. I've got to roll here in our democracy. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it didn't make sense. So I think that the misunderstanding that everything is a keyword opportunity makes people cynical. The idea that key phrases have to be stuffed into content makes people cynical. But if you really do step back and ask first, did I make something that is legitimately good? And then, hey, did I cover off on all these related subtopics? Do like the market muse or semantic SEO step toward the end, just to confirm that you mentioned. That piece I just wrote, it's targeting the key phrase content strategy basics. It goes live in a few days. When I did that process, I realized oh crap, I didn't talk about editorial calendars. Oh, oops, I didn't use the term digital marketing. Oops, so 15, 20 minutes, it made it a better piece. There was zero compromise. All I did was expand a few areas and made it more detailed and higher quality.
I like that. So it's like a past trauma that we need to heal from. And then
it is. We've got PTSD from that early era. Those of us that have done this for a couple of decades kind of remember when it sucked.
Yeah. And I had one other question, and then I see one come up in the chat. But I saw recently somebody made the point that Q&A sections shouldn't exist. If it's not in the copy, you haven't done your job. And I noticed your landing page doesn't have a Q&A at the bottom. Is that a thing, or is there room for a Q&A?
Well, intuitive web design and users' experiences are those that align. The visual hierarchy on the page aligns with the messaging priority and information needs for the visitor. A lot of big words in that sentence, but it's really important. The visual hierarchy and the user's experience should basically answer their questions as those questions pop into their mind. If the visitor doesn't see something and they start to look for it, and they have to click on a page that's literally labeled FAQ. Hey, if that question is frequently asked, why do you put it on a page with a super vague name? And then I land there and I have to scroll down to find my answer. That answer should have been on the page where the question popped into their mind. So what is an FAQ page except important answers out of context? What is a testimonials page except important evidence out of context? Build the page that guides their thinking and addresses their concerns in an intuitive experience rather than making a page, sticking FAQ stuff over there.
I dig it. And then Ritu asks, podcast marketing, anything we need to add besides these excellent points? Maybe when the product is podcast.
Podcasts are a very special and weird format for publishing. I think podcasts are one of the most delegatable types of content. Is that a word? Podcasters can outsource a lot of the guest management and editing and visual assets. It can be a very efficient approach to marketing. Podcasts are very intimate format. You're literally in the person's head, like physically in their inside their ear channel. So it can work very, very well for thought leadership and trust. But the idea of answering questions is common to any format: video, podcast, infographics, long form content, research, whatever. So question answering content, they ask you answer, Marcus Sheridan style, definitely applies to podcasts, webinars, and everything else.
Gotcha. And there's a follow-up question on FAQs from Goldie. I always understood that those help your website rank. So it sounds like that's not the case.
Definitely not the case. An FAQ page does not have a target key phrase in the title, header, and body text. It's a vague navigation label. There are some cool opportunities. I'm going to share a link to an article in the chat. And if you do have an FAQ page, don't just get rid of it. Do some analysis on it first.
Nice.
If you've got expandable content areas in your FAQs, like accordions where you click to see the answer, and you put Hotjar on that page, you created almost like a survey. You can see which answers people are looking for. It's sort of,
Nice.
or look at the navigation summary for your FAQ page and see what pages are sending traffic to them. Those are your pages with content gaps. So there's some cool analytics tricks you can use with an FAQ page. If you have one, take a look at those tactics. They might work really well.
I love it. Goldie says that's brilliant, and I agree. It seems like you should be a little more smug for being so smart, but.
Oh, I was super smug. I was like aloof and like preachy. I sort of felt bad. I was like, you got to do it this way. These are, by the way, these are best practices, which are important only in absence of your own data. So if you do something that's working well, that goes counter to any of my advice, ignore my advice and do what you're doing, because your own best practices are what works for other people and worked in the past, and what's working for you may be quite different.
Wonderful. Well, I love it. And so we've shared the link to Andy's site a couple times in the chat, and we'll do that in the final email as well. But thank you so much for rocking our worlds. Thank you so much for your time today, and everybody for attending and for the replay. We hope this has helped you see, no matter what kind of writing you're doing, how SEO plays into that and makes you apparently a better writer, which is new to me, but I'm convinced at this point.